expert, I'm standing in front of you today. One might actually say it's quite the opposite. See, I'm going to bring you on a little journey. It's a journey filled with self-doubt and also some superhero moments. There's opportunities and there's massive barriers. We're going to talk about my AI journey. And I believe that's a journey that I share with many more. And we'll talk about how I and us at Kjell and us as e-commerce, in the e-commerce space, can overcome what's called the realization gap. That's the gap between what's possible with AI and what businesses are actually doing. But I'm going to start here. You see, when I turned 20, my family convinced me to take a ride on an airplane and jump out of it. Has anybody here skydived? Give me a raise of hands. Okay, some of you guys know what I'm talking about. This is fun, but it's also scary as hell. I mean, sure, you're strapped to some guy with tons of experience and, you know, you have a parachute, but still, I mean, you're jumping out of a freaking plane. This is me. Not the confident, cool guy in the shades doing hang loose mid-air, but the really, really nervous guy just below him. And for 15 years, this was the most scary and at the same time the most exciting thing that I had ever done. Then about 2 years ago, I signed up for a new online service. I signed up for OpenAI's LLM ChatGPT. Like so many before me and many more after, I was completely blown away with what was suddenly possible with my computer. And this felt just like skydiving. 50% really, really exciting and 50% scary as hell. At the time, I was working as a one-man marketing team at a startup, and I realized that with ChatGPT, I could use it for brainstorming, I could use it for planning, I could use it for writing and adjusting content, feedback, distribution, all at my fingertip. And LinkedIn and Tech Magazine at this time was flooded with different headlines about how AI was truly shaking things up. The big giants invested billions in projects, and Swedish tech companies were already already implementing AI on a big scale. And you could see the effects of this also in e-commerce with early adopters. And I realized that what we're seeing here might very well be the biggest shift in commerce and business that we have seen since the launch of internet, the smartphone, the computer. So what did I do, you may ask, with this groundbreaking new technology? I did this. This is my mother's dog, Harry, my father's dog, Chewy, and a, well, soon-to-be dog in our family. All in the wildly popular style of Paw Patrol. To my kids' great amusement, obviously, but I wasn't exactly moving the needle in terms of business value with this. And at the same time, tools were constantly emerging from nowhere. And LinkedIn was filled with prompting guides and sunshine stories and use cases on how businesses were turning AI into profit and generating revenue, cutting down costs, basically with zero input. So the technology that first felt like a massive opportunity and something really, really exciting for me suddenly started to feel like a weight on my shoulders. Was I already falling behind? Why didn't I see the effects on our company and on our projects? Why didn't we get a 10x or cut down consultancy fees with thousands of kroners? I was signing up for more AI services than I could even remember, but the real results were not following. As it turns out, I was not alone in this. Stanford Institute for Human-Centered and Artificial Intelligence is one of the world's leading research centers when it comes to AI. They recently conducted a study where they concluded that only 1 out of 10 business professionals are seeing productivity gains with AI. Only 1 out of 10, 10%. So why are the other 90% still stuck in hype, or is it maybe hesitation? And what can we do to get into that 10%? I also started to feel like maybe the headlines and the LinkedIn bros didn't share the full picture of how AI was actually performing on the market. And that, my friends, is what I'm going to do with you today. It's a little bit of, what did you say, sharing, caring, and daring. Yeah. So I'm going to spend about 20 minutes now trying to become like an open book for you guys. I'm actually glad my boss isn't here, because he might feel that I'm oversharing a little bit. But I'm going to try to give you the full picture of where we are at in terms of AI at Kjell. For some of you, the things I'm sharing here might be completely new, when you will have that true skydiving scare when you look at it. And hopefully you will become a little bit inspired to get started. For most of you, I believe that what you will see here are projects and outcomes that you are working with yourself. And maybe there's a thing or two that you can learn from this talk. And for others, well, this might all be just yesterday's news. And if you feel that way, I truly believe that you deserve a pat on the shoulder, because you're doing a good job. What I've done is that I've selected a few of the marketing disciplines that we're working with, and for each of those I will uncover what we're doing, but also the issues we're facing and the possibilities that I see moving forward. And we'll start with copywriting, because I think that's the easiest one to get started with. At Kjell, we have a quite solid copywriting process, especially when it comes to creating content for products. We've been doing that for years, and we're not only doing it for the web, we're also doing it for packaging and manuals and support documents, etc. So that workflow is tested, and it's repeated and refined. But when it comes to category pages, that's a completely different story. If you would go to our website today and go to our categories, you will see that some of them are pretty good. Some of them have valuable content that actually helps the users get to where they're going. But most of them, they're not really that valuable. They're sounding different, they're looking different, and to be frank, some of them don't have any value at all. So we started like everybody else. Hey ChatGPT, help me write something about X. The problem with that approach, even though it's kind of working, the problem with that approach is that it isn't scalable. It's messy, it's inconsistent, and it's very reliant on the person who are actually sitting at the computer doing the prompts. And that's not what we needed. We needed more structure, we needed more clarity, and we needed content that actually help people shop. So instead of starting with going headfirst into ChatGPT, what we did was that we defined what are the goals for each level of our categories. What value should a top-level category has that maybe contains thousands of products, compared to a bottom-level category that might contain only 5 products? How are those measured and compared to each other? And when we took that approach and we used that for our inputs into ChatGPT, what we got wasn't just SEO text for each category. We actually got valuable content that helped users take the next step. But we didn't stop there, because we also, at Kjell & Company, we have over 100 stores, physical stores. And we know there's a lot of valuable content going on in there. There are valuable conversations and discussions. And we wanted to take that offline input and get that into ChatGPT, because the model has not been trained on that. And that gave us a unique depth that AI couldn't do on its own. Yeah. And after we got that, we started to look at scaling, because we didn't want each time we created a new content category page to start with a new, fresh ChatGPT conversation. Instead, what we tried to do was to connect to the OpenAI API. We used Google Sheets as our user interface for it. And what made it possible for us to do then was that we could take a list of all of our category pages. We could combine that with the prompts and generate content for all of the categories at the same time. But in Sheets, we also had a possibility to work with regular features like concatenate. So we could combine different adjectives or describing words with our prompts to make the prompts themselves unique and make the content even more unique. So we didn't get that copy-paste kind of AI voice. Here is one example of our new category content pages. I mean, it's nothing revolutionary going on here, but it's a good template for us moving forward. This is what we call a bottom level category, which means that there are no further categories below. It's just products. What we do then is that we place the content under the product, so we don't disturb the purchase flow. But this is, however, a quite technical product. You need to know stuff about ampere and watts, and there are different types of connections and whatnot. So we still need to guide the customer in order to make the correct purchase. So what's next? Well, in terms of copywriting, we have plenty of tools. We have AI tools for researching, we have AI tools for feedback, we have AI tools for creation. But none of those tools are really talking to each other. And that's my next goal. My goal is to connect all of these tools in one singular flow, so we get a complete AI agent. The idea is to have a system that takes a content category, learns whatever it needs to learn about it, creates the content, gets the feedback, and makes it ready for publishing with minimal human input. And the truth is that the tech is already available. The APIs, the models, their platforms, they're public, and they're affordable. The real bottleneck is not really the tools, it's us. It's our habits, it's our old workflows. It's the invisible barriers that sometimes can exist between departments. So for us, the next step in being better at AI and copywriting, it's not about working faster and being more efficient. It's about adapting and working differently. And if we can do that, I believe that we can move from being AI enhanced to being AI integrated. But let's shift over to visuals, because working with AI generated imagery is a completely different story. Not that long ago, you'd be happy if AI managed to generate a photo with the correct amount of fingers and almost human-looking eyes. And if you wanted to get images that even remotely looked like a certain individual, you had to train a model, and even then, 2/3 were just crap. And surely there are specialized softwares like Canva and Photoshop who do a really good job with using AI to change and adopt images. But if you wanted to generate new material, especially with humans or with real products or even text, we simply wasn't there yet. And then overnight, everything changed. Because OpenAI released their new image model that they dubbed GPT Image 1, and it completely knocked me off my socks. Gone was the six-finger hands and the alien eyes and whatever it made up before. And not only did this model make the images look way better than before, they were also more realistic and they were consistent. So with a single line of prompt, we could generate images that was truly realistic. Just days after this release, we were starting to experiment with the new technology. I'm going to share some of the images with you that we've done, but keep in mind that these were not made or meant for public display. These are some of the avatars that we did to test quality and consistency in the new image model. And I mean, not only do they look human, I think they look great. They look just like your average people and someone who could work at a Kjell company store. We even internally, we even gave them names and a little bit of background story and kind of treated them like the store staff at Kjell.com. And we started to add graphics, and we got text that you could actually read. We added products that they were using. We deepened the experiment and tried to mock up how these images could work and look like on the website. And do you remember the category I showed you before? That image is made by AI and is a result of our experiments. So naturally, we saw huge potential in generating images. But the excitement quickly met reality. Because getting an image project like this approved, well, that turned out not to be that easy. There are so many more constraints around visuals than there are around text. We had to consider our own art direction guidelines, but also emerging laws and regulations. But most importantly, we also had to consider customer trust. What if we started to generate images where the product wasn't exactly like in real life? We know that for many customers, images are what drive their purchase decisions. They're looking at the images closely before making a purchase. So we needed to be absolutely sure about what we were putting out there. To solve this and to get everybody on board internally, we launched a pilot project. That was pretty strict project where we were only allowed to do certain things. We could only work with our own products. We tried to avoid using humans as much as possible, and we were absolutely prohibited to show faces. Each image that we created also needed to go through scrutiny and be approved. This was a slow process. It wasn't scalable, but it helped us build internal alignment and trust. We're now about 2 months into this pilot project, and to be honest, it's not going as well as I hoped. I mean, of course, I understand that even with earth-moving changes in technology, you can't just expect everybody around you to stop dead in their tracks and start doing that instead. It doesn't work like that. Some things need to take their time. But during the pilot, we also found out firsthand how volatile new technology can be. You see, all of a sudden, we were not seeing the same type of results that we had seen before. Images that previously was undistinguishable and inseparable from real photographs suddenly started to look and feel like AI again. It turns out that the complex nature of generating images demanded an enormous amount of processing powers. so much that the servers at OpenAI was melting. So they had to dumb down and rely on earlier image models again, which meant that we couldn't use the new one. So while it first seemed like legal was going to be the big bottleneck for producing visual content, it turned out that the tech wasn't really ready either. But the truth is that neither of these two turned out to be the biggest problem. The biggest problem is culture. You see, visuals carry way more emotional weight than text do. They are more tightly governed, and expectations are just sky high, internally and externally. I think that in order to manage expectations, transparency is key. And we always said that we were going to be upfront with the fact that we're using AI. Not just for legal reasons, but also because we believe that it's the right thing to do. But even with that, we were met with resistance and fear. So for us to take the next step in AI-generated visuals, it won't be just about using AI. It will be about adapting to it. But that doesn't mean I don't have a dream. And here it is. So what if we could take every time we launch a new product in our PIM system, we would take the images that we already have, the cutouts, the studio images, we would send that to OpenAI, and OpenAI would return a set of lifestyle images. We get them back, someone from our end will go, okay, I want this one, and that one. Those might be ready to go on live. They might need a little bit of tweaking, but eventually they would end up on the website. No photographers, no staging, no costs. Or, well, there will be cost, but not as much. And technically, this is already possible. We have the APIs, we have the tech, we have everything. The one thing the things that are holding us back is trust, policy, and expectations. And that's where the real work will lie for us moving forward. But I think that we're going to get there. I think that we need to get there because the improvements for our customers will be dramatical. What I feel is maybe even more dramatical is AI in SEO, my professional sweetheart. I've been working in SEO for so long that most of the things I'm doing come from gut feeling and habits that I've been polishing and doing for many years. Maybe that's exactly why I'm also struggling with implementing AI into my workflows. But I know I need to do it because SEO is being affected by AI in two major ways. One, obviously, is us using AI to improve, enhance, and speed up the SEO workflows. But there's also our users utilizing AI to search in a completely different way. And I often get asked, what are we doing to increase our visibility on ChatGPT? And my answer, well, it depends on who's asking, but honestly, it's not much. LEO, GEO, AIEO, whatever you want to call it, right now it's more of a hype than anything else. The search volume is too low for me to be sleepless over it. What I have done, though, is that I'm looking a little bit closer at Bing. Bing is not just the second largest search engine, but it's also the search engine that ChatGPT is relying on for their search features. What I am watching closely, though, like many SEOs are doing right now, is Google's AI overviews that was just recently launched in Sweden. And they are here. They are integrated into the core Google experience. And they're changing the game for some of our keywords. AI overview summarizes entire topics and sometimes entire articles into just a few sentences. And that might be super useful for the searchers. Obviously, that's why Google are doing it. But it's not super great for the websites. According to a study that Ahrefs have done, the click-through rate for the #1 organic hit decreases with 35% when AI overviews are present. 35%. So even if you're doing everything right, you're optimizing your content, you're ranking good, you're providing value, you're still getting 1/3 less traffic today than you did before AI overview. So for some search intents, the core SEO question has changed. It's not anymore how do I rank, it's more is it worth ranking for? Is it worth for us to invest money and time and effort trying to rank for something when Google is going to display the answer on the search result and nobody's clicking? This will change our priorities. It also forces us to rethink what content we are producing and what goals we're going to have. But SEO is also affected in terms of operations. And this is where AI has more of a practical potential for me. A while back, I heard that the Swedish tax authority, Skatteverket, they have unofficially at least created a boredom index. So the thing that is the most boring is the thing that they want to automate first. And I kind of utilize the same approach. So one of my current favorite projects is an internal redirect tool. I have a list of broken links. I can send that to ChatGPT, who analyzes the structure and tries to figure out what every page is about, and then provide me examples of pages to redirect to. It's boring as hell, but if I can get ChatGPT to do half of it, then it's a win. But the part that really excites me in terms of AI and SEO operations right now is the vision of connecting all of my tools like Ahrefs, Screaming Frog, Google Search Console with ChatGPT and making it do all of the really boring grunt work. Imagine showing up to work on Monday and instead of skimming through tons of reports where you might get suggestions like these 500 meta descriptions are too long, instead what you would get is we found these 500 meta descriptions, we have revised them, optimized them, and they are ready to publish. That's my dream. That's ambition. And it's not science fiction. It's just about documented workflows, prompt templates, and basic tool integration. So if we can take what we already are doing manually, all the checks, the corrections, the tasks that we do week by week, we combine them with AI in a structured way, not only can we get the suggestions on how to fix it, we can have it fixed. And that's a future, not a fantasy. We can have an SEO automated pilot running in the background 24/7. Sounds a bit scary, doesn't it? The truth is that AI still scares the shit out of me. It still also excites me more than anything else. But looking back, I realized that something has changed. Just like with skydiving, mastery comes with practice. And even the craziest things, like jumping out from an airplane, becomes mundane if you do it much enough. And I've realized something pinnacle. The technology shift that we're seeing right now, it's not just new technology. The shift is driven by technology, but it's not prompts, it's not softwares. It's how we work and what we can achieve together. Now, I've tried to be as practical as possible with you today, but before I send you off, I want to shift gear a little bit and share a more human, cultural take on this. You see, if you're serious about getting AI integrated into your e-commerce or into your team, you can't just steal my projects and my ideas here. You can't just rely on a LinkedIn shared slide with prompting guides or something like that. It requires dedicated work, it requires leadership buy-in, and it requires structure. A while ago, I read a piece that really stayed with me. It's called Making AI Work, Leadership Lab and Crowd. It's written by Ethan Mollick, and in the article, he explains the 3 key components to getting an AI project integrated into work and actually contributing value. And he says it's 3 things. It's leaderships. You need someone who say, we're going to try this. It might fail, but it's worth it. And that mindset is already available at Kjell, and that has made all the possibility for us to actually do the experimenting, to do the tools, and to be allowed to fail with them. You also need a lab or a space. It could be a physical space or just a cultural space where people can test and break and rebuild things. It could be a shared prompt library or a spreadsheet with API calls or a half-working automation. But if you have that and store it, that's your lab. And then finally, he writes that you need a crowd. You need the knowledge that we build together. The crowd is when someone shares a prompt in Teams or creates a custom-made GPT and shares that with his colleagues. If we can do that and go from siloed experiments to shared progress, that's how capability spreads. That's how transformation scales. At Kjell, we're not perfect. We're definitely not done. We're not even fast all the time. But we are doing the work. And above all, I think that we're trying the best we can to close the realization gap. The gap between what's possible and what we're actually doing. And if there is one thing that I want you to remember from this talk today, let it be this. AI isn't magic. Progress doesn't come from waiting, it comes from doing. So if you haven't started, start. Start small, start smart, but start. Because because action beats ambition every time. Thank you for listening.